And Russia is also continuing its strategy of targeting key infrastructure, just as two top members of the U.S. President Joe Biden's administration reveal more military aid for Ukraine. Our Ellen Morrow is tracking these developments. She joins us now from the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. Ellen, let's start with those new attacks targeting train stations. What can you tell us about that?
Well, Arthi, we actually saw the aftermath of one of those attacks this morning. We were driving from Lviv in western Ukraine here to the capital, Kyiv, and it wasn't very long into that drive, about half an hour, that we noticed there were all these fire trucks and other emergency vehicles racing past us. And sure enough, in the distance, there was this big cloud of gray smoke. We got as close as we could. We saw the flames, and we learned that there had been a Russian missile strike targeting railway infrastructure there in western Ukraine where we were. It was one of several strikes on railway infrastructure in the west of Ukraine and in central Ukraine today. We did have a statement from Russia's defense ministry earlier this evening saying that those strikes destroyed 6 facilities that were powering railway lines that are bringing internationally supplied weapons from the west to eastern Ukraine. And as you said, this is not the first time we've seen Russia target Ukraine's railway infrastructure. The head of Ukraine's state railway company said today that Russia is trying to systematically destroy Ukraine's railway infrastructure. And of course, the railway lines here have been so important throughout this crisis, getting people out of the east, out of the country to safety, and bringing in those all-important foreign weapons, trying to get them to Ukraine's forces in the east. That is the effort that Russia is trying to thwart. And as you said, the strikes this morning came just hours after Antony Blinken and Lloyd Austin, the U.S. Secretaries of State and Defense, left Ukraine. They traveled to Kyiv by train. So another message from Russia there.
So as you mentioned, Blinken and Austin are currently in Kyiv, where you are, last night, and that was to offer more aid to Ukraine. So what are the details there?
Well, this was a show of support, a show of strength from those top-ranking U.S. officials who were in Kyiv yesterday. They were meeting with President Zelensky, and they've offered more military support, $700 million more in military financing to support these efforts against Russia. This morning, once they were back safely in Poland, we had a press conference from Antony Blinken and Lloyd Austin, and Blinken said that Russia is failing in its war aims here in Ukraine. Arthur, here's a bit more of what Blinken had to say.
This was, in our judgment, an important moment to be there, an important moment for Ukraine, for the war, an important moment to have face-to-face conversations in detail. Ukrainians are standing up, they're standing strong, and they're doing that with the support that we have coordinated from literally around the world.
And this was supposed to be a clandestine mission here, Arthi. Washington did not confirm this visit was happening, did not say anything about it until afterwards this morning. But President Zelensky did tell the world that Blinken and Austin were coming in a press conference on Saturday. Despite that blip, it did not affect this meeting, obviously. Zelensky saying he's very grateful for this additional support from the United States.
Thanks for this, Ellen. That is the CBC's Ellen Morrow in Kyiv.